So I don't want to trigger you by bringing this up, but
Trigger me?
Brawl for All happened in 1998, and I mean, so how do you hear that Brawl for All is happening? Because as talent relations head, it kind of involves you as well, right? Because it's going to be.
Russo came up with it. It was a stupid idea. It just really was. And I'm not just here to lambast Vince Russo. I'm not whatsoever. He had a lot of good things, good ideas, which a lot of them were emulated from the Howard Stern radio show, Shock Jock Central. So, yeah, I don't know.
Did the wrestlers want to do it when it was pitched?
So, yeah, all the tough guys, the JVLs and those guys, they couldn't wait. Couldn't wait because they had to show off their macho side. And all I know is that we had exorbitant medical bills. We had talents that had to go home for a while and settle in. Nobody won on that deal. Nobody won on that deal. And there was so much misrepresentation of facts. Well, JR wanting Dr. Death to win, and he's got the tournament rigged and all that. I didn't make out the bracket, first of all. So whoever wrestled or fought who is what somebody else came up with. My only part of that abortion was doing the call, and so it was just a lousy idea. Should never have happened. No one got any good out of it. It was bad.
Somebody I wanted to ask you about a little bit was Sable, because she was a massive.
She wasn't in the Brawl
wasn't in the
for All,
Brawl for All.
Kenny.
She didn't take a bump, never mind the Brawl for All. But with Sable, though, as head of talent relations, how did you deal with the fact that she went from, somebody on the show who was getting popular to all of a sudden loads of demands, didn't want to do anything, and then it all ends in tears with this big lawsuit?
Well, I could get a laugh here by just saying Vince. She was a special case that he enjoyed tutoring. So I had to have several talks with her. Look, at the end of the day, all Sable wanted to do was to make money, and she had an opportunity through the Playboy covers and merchandise being exposed, but not overexposed on our TV. Perfect job for her. Perfect gig for her.
But how do you handle it in the sense of she wrestles a little bit,
Yeah.
and then when she gets really popular, she doesn't want to wrestle anymore?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of kicking the balls. But she never was a wrestler. She didn't like being a wrestler. And to her credit, she became a decent hand. She could take bumps. She could execute a few holds. So I enjoyed what little wrestling she did because she always dressed the part. She was an extremely sexual woman, very sexy. And she became a star in small intervals, as it should be done. Sable was not a everyday talent. She was an attraction. What's an attraction, JR? That's Andre is an attraction. You see him less, and it means more. Attraction. Not every day. I wanted to do that with Big Show, and I got vetoed by the creative people. I just wanted to use Big Show as a special attraction player, so that when you saw him, it had significance. But nobody in creative seemed to share my idea, and then sooner than later, we basically, I don't know, we just didn't fulfill what we should have with Paul White. And then, of course, eventually, much sooner than it should have been, he wasn't over anymore because we overexposed him. And he was limited on what he could do and what he couldn't do. So there's different ways of, the attraction thing is something that, and a lot of talents don't believe that they're an attraction player. They believe they're an everyday player. Everyday players get put on every pay sheet. And there's where the rubber meets the road at times. So, but we should have kept Paul White off television a lot. Same thing with Sable. When she would come out there with a hot new T-shirt on or whatever, she lived that part, and she sold a great deal of merchandise because she was that attraction person. She didn't need to wrestle, even though we used to wrestle some. You know, the credit for that all goes to women like Jackie Moore, Luna Vachon, Ivory, Jazz, some of those other girls that I hired, because they could work and they could help the other girls learn to work. They were big, those ladies I just mentioned were big in helping out, as the time went on, the Tori Wilsons of the world. They just showed them what was going on, helped them, they taught, they coached. So that was how that worked, Kenny.
And I guess by the Attitude Era, Undertaker had become like a locker room leader backstage. And you hear all these stories that Undertaker was the judge at Wrestler's Court. As I feel like I keep saying this to you, as the head of talent relations, how do you feel about Wrestler's Court? Do you have to kind of turn a blind eye to it? Do you tell them, you know, make sure you're not kind of hazing anybody? How do you deal with it?
Common sense, just use your common sense. Don't get us in a litigious situation. Don't take this thing too far. It's done as a ruse. It's done in fun and the spirit of fun. I love the wrestler's court. They don't have. You think they got a wrestler's court now? No way. And it was fun. The talents loved it.
Do you have a favorite Wrestler's Court memory that you could share?
I don't remember what the violation was, but I know that it involved liquor, and I know that the individual got found guilty, and they spent a lot of money on him, on his cash, and how much I felt kind of bad for the guy because he spent probably $300 or $400 on booze as part of his fine. You know, it could have been community service or something, but it wasn't. So it was. It worked out. It worked out.
What do you think it was about Undertaker that made him such a locker room leader?
Well, I've called him this many times, the Clint Eastwood of the locker room. Quiet, you know, threatening, intimidating, no nonsense, but he had a great sense of humor and was the perfect judge. I mean, his decision was final. Somebody would come to me, well, I had to go to, hey, take it up to the court. Get that great big dead man and you go discuss it with him because I ain't changing his verdict. It started out in jest and in fun, but it sometimes it went over the line. So we just have to balance it out as best we can. But that era is over. Everybody be calling their lawyers. I'm serious. They'd be calling their lawyers, and it wouldn't be something that the lawyers would recommend that we do, and all this other shit. We're just having fun. We're just having fun. And these guys at that time were on the road several days a month. That's what kills me now. I know the talents in AEW should never bitch about nothing. They work a day a week. Stop it. I never got that. You know, when I started, you know, here's the Tony Gurria story. Back in my day, the sheep were afraid of me. Is that too close to home, Kenny?
Prick. So Mick Foley eventually goes on to win the WWF title. He wins it on Raw at the beginning of '99. Obviously, you'd had the really unfortunate bout with Bell's palsy the month before, so you weren't able to call the match. What was it like to see Mick, you know, finally win the title he never thought he'd win, but then kind of the conflict of the fact that you're not able to be there to call it?
Yeah, it brought me to tears. Probably of all the matches that I didn't call, Foley winning his first WWF title is the one that I missed out on the most. And I just couldn't do it. My face was hanging, slurring, just terrible. But I made up for it later on because we had plenty more mixed up. But that first one would have been sweet. And Mick deserved it. And I know that you guys remember how he won the title. Then he sprinted around the ring 2 or 3 times. He was so happy. That's real. He's like a little kid. Mick, this is a work. Slow down. You move too fast.